Hello there, a very good evening to you and many thanks for choosing us to bring you up to speed with the latest in the world of politics, business and sports. This is the very day that a lot has happened in the world of politics, from Magarini by-election campaign to the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua clapping back at President William Ruto over his utterance during the weekend, and to be precise on Sunday, terming the opposition as power sharing pact, but not really advancing the agenda that really touches on the common mwananchi. Rigathi hit back at President William Ruto, insisting that their only agenda is making President William Ruto a one-term president. From politics all the way to business and sports, this is what to expect in the next 30 minutes or so.
Tonight, easing the barriers. Oparanya advocates for barrier-free East Africa market to boost trade within the region. Rallying behind Kombe, ODM pitch camp in Kilifi to drum up support for Harrison Kombe in the upcoming by-elections. Also tonight, hope at last. Kenya launches first phase modern radiation-based cancer treatment at Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital. Plus, 5 million strong. Kenyatta University and Safaricom launches joint mission to plant 5 million trees by 2030.
This is Kutv Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Alright, our sign language interpreter tonight is the ever competent Naomi Omboi. Remember, you can talk to us on all of our social media platform. We are coming to you live on YouTube at KUTV News Live. You can tweet us on X at KUTV_Kenya, at Auma Evans, the hashtag to use, State of the Nation. So tonight we begin with the latest. Now, the Kenyan government is leveraging on credit inclusion, aggregation and manufacturing to accelerate the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises as a key driver of economic transformation. Speaking during the official opening of the 25th East African Community MSME Trade Fair and the Symposium at Uhuru Gardens, President William Ruto highlighted the success of the Hustler Fund as one of the policies fostering a conducive environment for enterprise growth.
Trade Fair hosted at Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi. President William Ruto officially inaugurated the 25th East Africa Community Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Trade Fair hosted at Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi. The event, held in Kenya for the 7th time, positions the country as a regional hub for trade and innovation. Opened by the International Trade Center, the fair brings together entrepreneurs from across the East African community to explore innovative strategies for enhancing sustainability in the sector.
Let's clap for her. She comes from Boston.
The head of state lauded the critical role MSMEs play in Kenya's economic transformation, describing the sector as a cornerstone of employment creation, innovation, and sustainable development. He reaffirmed his administration's commitment to implementing strategic policies that strengthen enterprise resilience and competitiveness.
This gathering is a compelling validation of micro, small, and medium enterprises that remain the pillar of our economies. They are the engines of job creation, drivers of innovation, and anchors of industrial growth and the driving force of our shared prosperity, not just as a region, but also as a continent. Looking at the enterprises that are exhibitors in this fair, many of them require not so much capital. They just need to enhance the finesse of what they are producing. We just need to support them the last mile. That last mile is what common user facilities can do.
On his part, the Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives and MSME Development, Wycliffe Oparanya, urged the government to address long-standing challenges faced by traders, including limited market access, restrictive policies, and regulatory hurdles that continue to constrain growth.
3 areas were agreed: access to finance, and you know what we are doing as a country in that particular area. The other one was digital transformation. You know how important that area is for our country. And the last one was green technology financing. Those are the 3 critical areas we agreed during the ministerial conference, global ministerial conference in Johannesburg. But as Kenya, we have added on market access. That is very crucial for our people, and you remember when you were out there, most of those traders were talking about market access. The meeting emphasized the importance of accelerating digital transformation by expanding access to reliable digital infrastructure, promoting digital skills development, and fostering innovation, friendly regulatory environments.
Kenya is expected to reap significant economic benefits from hosting the fair, including expanded market linkages across the EAC, deeper regional trade integration, and the consolidation of its position as a continental hub for enterprise and innovation.
Kama muhindi hapo na ndevu anaona mbali
lakini kingi walikuwa na
kitambo walikuwa na mustache.
The 10-day event, which runs until November the 16th, has brought together policymakers from all EAC partner states to showcase the transformative power of grassroots entrepreneurship in shaping Africa's economic future.
Iko hapa hili ya nilete yeah okay tulishindwa kufikisha hapa. It's very
Ochieng Cynthia, KUTV.
All right, thank you, Ochieng Cynthia, for that comprehensive reporting. Now to matters politics. Orange Democratic Movement Party, if you prefer the acronym ODM, has pitched camp in Kilifi County to drum up support for ODM candidate Harrison Kombe in the upcoming Magarini by-election set for 27th of November 2025 as campaigns continue to hit fever pitch. Rose Gakuku with the details.
With just weeks to the by-election, ODM leaders in Kilifi County have stepped up campaigns for Magarini parliamentary candidate Harrison Kombe. Kombe will face stiff competition from several opponents, including former UDA candidate and now DCP flag-bearer Stanley Kenga, as each side seeks to win the hearts of Magarini voters ahead of the November 27th polls.
Fanyeni vyote lakini muniregeshe pale na mimi kwa ushirika na rais moja kwa moja tutahakikisha hiyo barabara pia inaendelea.
The ODM campaign team led by Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaru, Kaloleni MP Katana, and Aduwad MCA Samson Zia of Pamoja African Alliance took their message to Matolani, Hawawanje and Bombi villages, areas largely inhabited by farmers and pastoralists.
Tuonyeshe wale wakora ambao wamepanga waje watuibie hapa. Tuambie kwamba huku kuna wenyewe.
The leaders are urging voters to give Kombe another chance to complete development projects he started before leaving the office.
Huyu Harikombe amedhulumiwa na kudhulumiwa kwake, nyinyi watu wa Magarini mlidhulumika zaidi. Kwa sababu mlimpatia kura yeye, mkampatia huyu Zia, mkampatia Mungaro.
na hata mimi kule nikapewa. Lakini ni kwa nini kura za Harikombe zikasemekana zilikuwa ni haramu, za ile nyingine zikawa ni halali? Sasa tarehe 27 tumregeshe Harrison Garama Kombe arudi kama mbunge wa chama cha ODM.
Residents urged one another to turn out in large numbers and support Kombe, saying his re-election would ensure continuity of ongoing projects.
Tuhakikishe every single vote haziendi kwa mtu mwingine na watu wote wamesajiliwa ili kwamba sisi nasi tupate haki za kidemokrasia ili kwamba tuchague yule mtu mwenye tunampenda.
Tunataka tulete kura ili na sisi vijana waandikwe kazi, barabara tupate na mifugo yetu iweze kupata mahali ya kulisha na sisi tuishi kama watu wengine.
As campaigns gather pace in Kilifi and other regions set for by-elections, voters are being urged to make informed choices that will drive development in their constituencies. Rose Kaguku, KUTV, Nairobi.
Now, still matters politics. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has hit back at President William Ruto over his recent remarks he made in Samburu, accusing united opposition of being more interested in power-sharing deals than improving the lives of Kenyans. Speaking during the burial of Terry Kariuki, widow of the late J.M. Kariuki in Olkalau in Nyandarua County, Gachagua clapped back at his former boss, rubbishing off claims of power-sharing deal, insisting that the opposition is focused on making him rather a one-term president.
Nimeona huyu Kasongo jana akilia akisema ya kwamba ati kuna wanaume watano wanakutana ati kugawa serikali. Huyu Kasongo hana habari, amechanganyikiwa. Unajua tangu alienda pale Kisumu, pale Bondo kulia machozi ya uongo, akisema atanalia mambo ya Raila. Kalonzo akaenda pale, Mama Aida na wote familia wakasema wanatabua Kalonzo. Huyu Kasongo amechanganyikiwa. Wewe bwana Kithinji, listen here. Wewe una habari? Hao wanaume watano wanakutana na mama moja. Hakuna serikali wanagawa. Wanapanga vile utaenda nyumbani. Hiyo ndio kazi iko mbele. Na hakuna mtu nagawa serikali. Tumeambiwa na watu ya Kenya kazi yetu ya kwanza ni kupeleka Kasongo nyumbani. Mambo ya serikali tutaongea baadaye. Hiyo ni propaganda ile umezoea kwa magazeti, ile unalipa ati kuna watu wanakutana kugawa serikali. Wakenya wametuambia tushikane kwa sababu umeharibu Kenya kila kitu.
And now to matters health. It is a relief for cancer patients in the country after Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital roll out the first advanced nuclear treatment technology that uses radiation to treat the deadly disease. And as KUTV's Moses Masha reports, experts says that the therapy is safe and more effective than conventional methods, although its high cost may be a major barrier for many patients.
For the first time in the Kenya's history and the entire East African region, the Kenyatta University Teaching, Referral and Research Hospital KUTRRH has begun administering diagnostic and therapeutic nuclear medicine, which involves injecting radioactive drugs directly into cancerous tumors. Dr. Harish Nagaraj, consultant and head of the nuclear medicine department at KUTRRH, says the treatment previously unavailable in Kenya's hospital requires between 4 to 6 cycles to complete, with each cycle costing approximately $10,000, equivalent to 1.3 million shillings.
I mean, like, you see, this cancer treatment is always advancing. So where we were like 5 years back and where we are currently now is different. Again, if it comes to next 5 years, the treatment will be slightly modified. So that is mainly dependent on the research activities going forward. Because if we have a newer kind of molecule which is helping the patients, it might actually be beneficial both for the country, the Ministry of Health, because the amount of money is spent on cancer treatment, you need to see the outcomes.
On the government side, the Deputy Director in the Department of Science, Research and Innovation, Dr. Frank Sawanga, says there's need to dispel misconceptions about nuclear science, which is often associated with bombs or harmful radiation.
Nuclear as medicine. You can use it to treat cancer, you can use it to diagnose cancer and many other diseases. We even use nuclear tools in a lot of our machines to do, to do diagnosis of diseases. So we want them to understand that there is a very safe way of application of nuclear, and that is what is important for us. We are not into war, so we want to apply nuclear energy to treat and address our diseases.
IAEA experts from South Africa, including Dr. Janki Kelhans and Professor Jan Zivart, emphasized the safety of this therapy, noting that radioactive drugs target tumors directly without affecting the entire body, as it's the case with the traditional treatments.
This is really one of the safest, and we have a very strong methods to test the quality of the products, even more so than other treatments, and so we are very sure it's very safe. Because we are working with radiation, we often get people being scared about it, and so now we have to be the most safest ever to have it work because people will be like, so no, it's really very safe, and it just goes to the tumor, which is really great, and everything else is excreted out of the body. So if it's not in the tumor, it goes outside of the patient, and also after a week the patient is no longer radioactive, so it doesn't stay in the body. This is the beauty, but it works for 2 months afterwards. So for a few days it stays in the body, but it works for a very long time, and it really has shown very promising results.
Nuclear treatment is expected to significantly transform how cancer is treated in Kenya, although the challenge of cost remains a major issue in ensuring patients' welfare. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
Meanwhile, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has dismissed claims by Kirinyaga Senator Kamau Murango over faulty dialysis machines at the Kerugoya County Referral Hospital, urging politicians to keep health matters out of politics. She clarified that the county has already procured new dialysis machines, with 3 currently operational and 2 decommissioned after surpassing their service lifespan.
There have been numerous counties, over 10, who have come to Kirinyaga County to learn what we have done. Fully automating our health facilities, ensuring our hospitals are equipped, there is medicine, all that. Now, on the issue of dialysis machines, we all know that the dialysis machines were provided by the national government in the year 2017. And they have done their time because we service too many people. The hours that they're supposed to have done, most of our machines, there were 6 machines, 4 of them passed the 10,000 hours mark. And so we stopped using them. It is not that they're broken down. We stopped using them because we cannot guarantee the quality of service that can be provided. We have since received a replacement of those machines. I believe there are about 3 or 4 new ones, and we already have 2 operational. So the dialysis center is operational in Kirinyaga County. And so that the politics of cheap propaganda, and this I'm directing directly to the person who has raised that issue, they should stop it, because if you're looking for votes, look for votes, but look for them with truth. Because the fact that we don't respond to every single allegation doesn't mean that we cannot speak.
At the same time, the cabinet has approved a comprehensive framework for infrastructure projects, pricing to curb inflated cost and ensure transparency in public investments. It has also endorsed the waiver of interest and penalties on land settlement loans worth 12.3 billion to benefit settlers in 26 counties. Cabinet approved the dualling of 23.5-kilometer Muthaiga-Kiambu-Dumberi Road and the establishment of the Nairobi National Park Athi-Kapiti Wildlife Corridor to secure migratory routes. Further, it has approved amendments to the Public Finance Act to hasten county funds disbursements and sanction new embassies in the Vatican City, Copenhagen and Hanoi to boost Kenya's diplomatic and development engagements. Right, it's now 23 minutes past 9 o'clock. Time to take a very fast break here on the State of the Nation. Remember, plenty more to follow after the break.
Miti miti, panda panda, miti miti. Our planet's future is in our hands. However, there is a threat to the brightness of this tomorrow. On EarthCheck, we share the challenges, the solutions, and the hope.
I would call this a very momentous day, a very critical day.
Every episode, every story, every step we take creates a ripple. Join me, the environmentalist Emmanuel Kutosi, on KUTV every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and be part of EarthCheck. Welcome.
Wa jamii. Kupanda shuka akawa tuzo, ukakamavu wake ukatii na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke akabaini jinsi ya kuwini. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari ng'ari.
Mimi ni mwanamke mwake mwake.
Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake mwake, nami Caroline Kimwele.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Alright, welcome back and thank you for keeping it State of the Nation. Let's continue to inform you. Now, Kenyatta University, in partnership with the Safaricom, has launched a joint mission to plant 5 million trees by 2030. The initiative seeks to increase Kenya's forest cover and calls on citizens to move from apathy to action by taking personal responsibility for growing trees, not just planting them. Anyango Sylvia reports from KU's main campus.
Safaricom's commitment to environmental conservation has now taken root at Kenyatta University. Through this partnership, the two institutions have embarked on a mission to plant 5,000 trees within the university's 1,000-acre piece of land, 500 of which are fruit trees. Representing the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Outreach, Professor Caroline Thurua, emphasized the importance of the initiative in helping the university achieve its sustainability goals.
It's a partnership that we have developed over time for various activities within the university, but today we are focusing on tree planting. Today we have a target of planting 5,000 trees, and it is interesting because our target for this year is actually 130,000 trees, and therefore this will make a major step towards helping us to achieve our targets. We have already had several other sessions of planting trees, several other days, and therefore this is part of helping us to move towards achieving the target.
Safaricom continues to champion environmental conservation through various partnerships across the country, focusing on biodiversity restoration and aiming to plant 5 million trees by 2030. According to Safaricom Chief Corporate Security Officer Nicholas Mulila and Chief Consumer Business Officer Fwazia Ali, the initiative serves as a major mitigation effort against climate change by addressing carbon emissions caused largely by industries and energy-intensive activities.
When you want to conserve the environment, in an environment like ours, you start with planting trees. And we have done this for a number of years now as a company. Today, we have planted over 2 million trees in collaboration with Kenya Forestry Service.
And the reason we are doing this at Safaricom is because we want to become net zero, a company that's generating net zero into the environment by 2050. And we're doing this in two ways. On the demand side and the consumption side, we are trying, our biggest consumption, of course, is diesel on our sites. So we are now converting our sites to solar. As we speak, 25% of our sites are now solarized, and we are going to continue with that initiative. By 2030, we want to ensure that 100% of our sites are supported by solar. Secondly, we also make sure that how we've built the offices, we are also trying to conserve energy. So we have lights that have motion sensors that only come on when people are in the room, and during the day we have natural lighting.
However, the program faces challenges, including the impacts of climate change, limited access to partners, and shortages of quality seedlings. To improve tree survival rates, Safaricom has developed a digital app that monitors the growth of each tree planted.
We just have to find a way, because the rains are not coming in the way that we were expecting. So it's about finding a way in which we can plant the trees in the October season so that it very much coincides with the April season. By the time we get to the long rains, the trees that we have planted now have a much higher rate of survival. But in that period between October and April, where there is requirement for substituting with water, that's why we have to plant them close to community so that the watering can continue.
Despite the hurdles, Mulila assured that this partnership marks just the beginning of deeper collaborations with the university. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
All right. Thank you, Anyango Sylvia, for that reporting. Now, as global climate negotiations enter their 5th day in Belém, Brazil, smallholders farmers in Mvuti, Machakos County are demanding a seat at the decision-making table. Linda Nzilu reports on a day stakeholders argued that despite being on the front line of the climate crisis, their voices remain ignored.
In Mvuti, Machakos County, farmers face worsening droughts as crops fail and livestock die. They accuse global climatic negotiators in Brazil of ignoring grassroots voices, demanding compensation and funding for adaptation to counter the devastating effects of climate change. Agroecology expert Peter Nzioka has warned against laws criminalizing indigenous seeds, saying they threaten farmers' rights and food security. He noted that erratic rainfall exposes hybrid seeds' weakness, while traditional varieties remain resilient, affordable, and better suited to local climate conditions.
We need to be heard that the rights, that law which prohibits indigenous seeds not to be sold and not to be shared, and not to, if you don't share, if you don't sell, then it means it's equally the same as telling you don't use them. So that adds up to the issue of food insecurity, because majority of the farmers cannot afford. Number two, the hybrids are not adaptable to the local ecosystem.
Mvuti Assistant Chief Elizabeth Mwangangi says the community has achieved 60% of its training plant target towards Kenya's 15 bill goal by 2032. She cited water shortages and floods as a major challenge as farmers lament exclusion from global climate forums.
Kama naweza sema tuko around 60% to 70%. Ile changamoto tuko nayo sana sana unapata kuna ukosefu wa maji. Na hii ndio inachangia maybe mimea ikipandwa unapata inakauka. Zingine pia kuna issue ya challenge ya mchwa. Unapata baadhi ya miti zingine zikipandwa zinaumwa na hiyo mdudu ya mchwa na zinakauka.
Haki Nawiri Africa's Leonarda Odongo says climate finance should prioritize grassroots farmers to boost climate adaptation. She urged investment in agroecological enterprises, calling it shameful that Kenya appears on the global hunger map despite vast arable land and favorable weather.
We want to do a small procession, basically to communicate to the world that Africa contributes very little, but when you talk about climate finance, what Africa is getting is very, very minimal. And climate finance has been a contentious issue, particularly on adaptation, and that's why the voices of grassroots communities, the voices of farmers, the voices of fisherfolk, the voices of indigenous people need to be at the forefront when you talk about climate finance. Thank you.
In terms of our grassroots adaptation, our farmers, especially in Machakos, have been engaging in agroecology, but we've seen a consistent trend where governments have been frustrating our local farmers by criminalizing our seeds, and basically farmers cannot share their seedlings, and we've been forced to use the hybrid seeds instead of the indigenous seeds.
As climate talks continue in Brazil, Mvuti farmers say true climate justice begins with recognizing grassroots voices. They urge global leaders to fund local adaptation, protect indigenous seeds, and support communities bearing the brunt of a crisis they didn't cause. Linda Nzilu, KUTV.
Now switching gears to matters education, the Kenya Primary Schools Head Teachers Association, KEPSEA, and the national chairman, their national chairman Faud Ali, has urged the Ministry of Education and the Teachers Service Commission to establish clear pathways for satisfying and registering refugees teachers within Kenya's education system. Speaking in Mombasa during the KEPSEA National Annual General Meeting at the Sheikh Ali Zaid Children's Home, Faud commended teachers' resilience but raised concerns that many refugee educators still face documentation and registration challenges, hindering their full professional recognition and inclusion.
KEPSEA's humble prayer to the Ministry of Education and the Teachers Service Commission and other key policy makers to prioritize the establishment of clear pathways of certifying and registering refugee teachers within Kenya's education system. By extending professional recognition to these teachers, Kenya will not only affirm commitment to inclusive and equitable education for all, but also take a bold step towards realizing national education goals and the broader aspiration of refugee inclusion and integration. As we reflect on this remarkable journey, we celebrate our collective progress and renew our resolve to make CBE work for every child in every country and classroom. KEPSEA remains steadfast in supporting the government's reform agenda in championing school leadership as the cornerstone of quality education.
Alright, it's now time for the latest in the world of sports. Now, the first batch of Kenyan athletes and officials are set to land in Japan ahead of the 2025 Summer Deaflympics scheduled to take place in Tokyo from November 15th to 26th. The first team of 180-member delegation departed for Tokyo this evening, while the second group will depart on Wednesday and the final batch on Thursday. The 25th edition of the Deaflympic Summer Games will kick off this weekend, and Kenya is set to compete in the 5 disciplines that include athletics, women's basketball, men's handball, golf, and swimming. Alright, it's a wrap. Many thanks for the men and women behind the scene, and of course for you esteemed viewers for always keeping us a company in the last 36 minutes or so. My good name is Auma Evans. Naomi Omboy has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Until next time, do have a lovely night and God bless Kenya.